And we are back with our last video. Hopefully, this is the financial plan. This is the last slide that we're doing. So a financial plan, this is one of the most important plans that you need to look at. So this details how the business will get financed immediately and at later stages. Remember, once you start a business, if you don't have a side or a job where you start your business on the side, you need to make sure that you are covered for the next foreseeable future. Most businesses that I've heard of only break even about 3 to 7 years into their business operations. Sometimes earlier, but they have to have a plan for how will they survive for 3 years, how will they pay their workers for 3 years, how will they establish themselves, and now that they're established, their business is really growing. So you need to understand what your immediate finance needs and what will you need in future to grow. So this includes your estimates of current and future expenditure. So let's say you want to make ice cream and sell it. You need to know what your input cost, your petrol, electricity, everything to get to the beach and back to sell ice cream. And what will it cost you in future? Would you still want just to be it yourself? Or do you want to employ 10 kids in 10 years when you are studying and they have to do it? And you pay them and your input cost is a bit higher. So what's your expenditure then, and do you need capital? You need to have a plan on how to spend the capital that you've raised. You need to understand what's your cash flow. If you don't have a cash flow and don't manage it well, you'll pretty soon run out of cash, and if you can't pay people, that's where your business will hit a bad place. And it is also always about your profitability. Are you profitable? And that also it leads to your cost breakdown. You need to understand what's your fixed cost, what's your variable cost, what's your profit, what's your sale price. Let's look at that quickly. Startup cost, that is all your fixed assets. That's your machinery, equipment. It's also your quantity and your price of your raw materials that you require. So startup cost is everything that you need to get this project from the ground. Okay. Now, where do you get it? You can either borrow your capital or you can take your own. If you have your own, you take it out of a bank. It doesn't cost you anything, but you've had to save up. And sometimes people don't have that. They've got this idea, don't have the money, and now they have to go and borrow it. Now, when you borrow, you can either get a friend or a family member to invest in your business, but now you have to pay it back. If you have borrowed from a bank, you need to pay it back over a period with interest rates. With balloon payments, and that's all in the loan details, and that needs to be penned down in your business plan. People want to see how you're going to pay that money back. What's the risk? Then let's think about what's the fixed cost. Fixed cost, it stays the same no matter how many units you produce. It's like rent, cell phones cost. So everything that stays the same every month. So if you rent a building for 10,000, that stays the same. If you produce one car or 2,000 cars, your rent has to be paid. But variable cost, that changes due to the amount of items you produce. So let's say we produce 2,000 hats, then we only need to buy the material for 2,000 hats. And the water and electricity will change if we only produce one hat versus 2,000, because now we're using more machines and more electricity. So that cost will be higher. Okay. Then you have your total cost, which is your fixed and your variable cost together. That's your total cost. Now, in order to get a selling price, you need to add a profit. So what's a profit? That's the amount of money that you add for your effort. Okay, that can be a percentage or a predetermined amount. And also that you need to have in your financial plan is your statements. What is your projected income statement? What's your balance sheet? And what is your cash flow statement? So this is it in a business plan in a nutshell. I will give you guys a breakdown of what you need to study for the exam, but for now you can just complete this as well as the activities as per the Google Classroom. Alright, see you at our next contact session.